Yeah. Hey, Claudia.
Hi.
Hi.
Time
How
no see.
how long has it been since we did a video?
Oh my God. A couple of lifetimes.
At least. Yeah, it's definitely been that. I think we've both been through a few deaths and rebirths. Um, I just want
Yeah.
to take a moment because, well, we're going to put these up on our YouTube channels. We have a growing Bitchute channel, and we haven't ever presented anything there. So, just a brief introduction. Claudia and I met 2010 or 11. We were both moderators on a very large, let's just say, alternative research forum, which was an extremely great introduction to the world of all things anomalous. And during that time, we had contact with quite a few names out there in the alternative truth community, quote unquote. Uh, and then we were unceremoniously discharged of our duties, and a lot of things were said about us that weren't true, and certainly gave me an insight into how many egos are out there in celebrity / truth community. And yeah, and I don't really want to say much more than that. We've been making videos together since about 2014, and we're probably back after a 2-year hiatus.
Yep. I have nothing to add to that.
So introducing us, this is our normal dynamics. The reason for me personally, and then Claudia can speak personally, that I've wanted to start making videos again, or why I haven't for such a long time, is that besides the personal challenges, and I'm truly talking about the death of an old life and the rebirth of a new life, and all the challenges that are a part of that. Plus, as soon as the scamdemic was rolled out, I knew instantly that we were game on. Since we've been studying the underbelly of the underpinnings of what we call our matrix for a long time, it was really obvious to me. And just in meditation this morning, I knew I didn't have anything to say. I knew I didn't want to add more noise to everything going on. But I also realized on a deeper level, it was a very deep integration process, a great sorting through of my own sovereignty, my own beingness, confronting what we're confronting today as collective humanity. And so there are so many voices out there, and I'm sure that most of the listeners will realize that we are looking at one of the greatest challenges, you could call it the apocalypse. It's a great unveiling. It's when all the evil that's been present on this planet for so long is finally showing itself. And so partially it's speaking from a personal level, but also encouraging others how we're going to get through this time, and not only get through it, but come out the other side much stronger. I don't know how it's gonna present, but that's where I want to start from.
I think that's an excellent starting point. And what comes to mind immediately is when I don't watch much alternative media or anything. But what I have noticed just skimming through everything is a lot of people are feeding their energy into the entire scenario. Mm-hmm. And I just want to urge people to stop doing that, because as long as you feed it, it's going to stay there. Mm-hmm. What you have to do is starve it.
Yeah, and I agree with you, completely. And how do we feed it? We feed it by hyped up emotional response, by being triggered, by being afraid. So those are inner pieces of ourself that we have to observe, and we have to find where it is in us to stop those. Now, I'm not obsessed with it. Unlike you, Claudia, I have been paying close attention, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the only way I can differentiate where I am now than where I was when this whole thing started, and it's something I've known for a long time, that if you have a strong emotional response, right, where you either are hatred comes out of you, or fear, or destruction, or anything of that nature, you are responding exactly like they want you to. Mm-hmm. And well, maybe we'll get a little bit into the whole AI agenda and the part of it. I think the differentiation comes from a feeling body. Like, it's very different than an emotional response. So my feeling body can confront all the horrors that are coming up into the clear view these days, but it's not responsive in the way of emotions. So I almost want to take them.
Rather, emotions are not attached to it.
Right, exactly. Because if you really get down to it, emotions, while we say they come from maybe our heart and stuff, they're actually from our mind.
Yeah.
They're from attachments to things that we don't want to lose. They're attachments to things that we don't want to let go of. They're fear of the future.
Yeah, sort of the same area of source as the ego and fear.
So we want to, and I feel like the deepest calling we have right now is we're making an extraordinary passage. It's something that I don't know how long it comes around, because I don't like the whole concept of time and how time is measured. I think it's always been here in front of us. But this passage is, if you want to go into the new, if you really want to be in the new creation, you can't take anything from the past. This is not a return to the past. It's taking the wisdom of the past. It's taking the things that have been hidden from us, and finding out all those things that are from our stolen history. That's fine. Even rememberings of our tribal life and our close connection with nature. But we're not going to be going back.
No, we do have to make peace with the past. I think that's crucial. But we leave it where it belongs.
Right. Right. And so the past can be a traumatic past. It can be a magical past. It can be a lot of things. But when you just say the ever present now moment is really, truly all we have. Right. So that's the check-in point, should be for everybody right now. Where am I now? Right. And I know it's hard. You know, I'm around a lot of people going through a process of letting go of their whole past lives. They don't know who they are at the moment. And it takes a very courageous soul to be able to sit in that place. You sat in it for how long, Claudia? You know,
I have no concept of time, sorry, but it was very long.
Yeah, and it's uncomfortable. It's can be scary. But when you're given what we're given right now is, as humanity, we have to be prepared to sit in an uncomfortable place. And you said it, it's like sitting in peace. I'm at peace with this.
Know that, no matter how uncomfortable it is, whatever you're going to be facing next will not be as uncomfortable.
Exactly.
The unknown is always uncomfortable to us, because we like to sit safely in our little cocoon, even though it might be horrible, but at least we know. But when something unknown is approaching, that scares the fucking daylights out of us. I mean, out of every human. But you can get through that, and you can face fear because you faced fear a million times by the time you are 15, 16. So you can do that. Mm-hmm. And it will become easier.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's amazing.
I'm not saying more comfortable, but it will become easier.
Yeah, because you're actually pulling off layers and layers of beliefs. You're pulling off layers of things that have kept you from becoming the real being that you are. And
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it does get easier, right? You have practice. And then you start to have this wonderful affirmation from the spirit that it's
Yeah.
there. It's a real, grace is real. And
You can
so,
love yourself.
oh, please. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have to say that because I've come across so many people who like beat themselves up because they did something that they conceive as being stupid in the past, and they can't, like, they get completely hung up about it.
Mhm.
So, well, laugh about it and be joyful how far you've got since then.
Mhm.
We're all here to learn.
Mhm. Well, I mean, how else do we learn? You know, we learn through life. We learn through the process of making mistakes and things.
Exactly.
And actually, when you can get to that point, or it has for me anyways, when you do have that laughter and that acceptance, that deep acceptance of your own personal journey,
Yeah.
that it doesn't plague you anymore.
No, no.
And you're one step closer to being free. You know, one of the things that Max Egan always says, and I don't say this because Max Egan says it, it's because I have internalized it. It's like face infinity without flinching.
Yes. That is so
And
true.
yeah, and you know, and it's just like those are it, and the other thing he says, and it's such a true thing when you can internalize it, is don't have anything invested in the outcome.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's a hard one because that takes a great deal of constant observation of self, right? How many things we do because we are invested in the outcome, because
Yeah.
we're expecting something from somebody else. And I think that's been the biggest lesson I've had over the last 2 years is with all these encounters of different people is I grew up and it wasn't like, oh, I expect them to be this way. But the encounter with that person was a sense of expectation grew out of it. Oh, this is my friend. This is a support system. This is something that's taking me somewhere. And then to have them walk away. And it's not an easy thing to get to that state.
No, it's not. And I'm sure that we all always have setbacks. That even in 5 years or 10 years, there will be an occasion where you will be invested in an outcome. But the big difference is if you work on not having that investment, then it becomes a lot weaker.
Yeah.
As with everything, practice makes perfect.
Yeah, I mean, my example in my life, and it's funny because the other thing that we're always being assailed with in a certain way, and we do it ourselves, is projection of another, because we're all very, very unique. We all see the world through our own unique lens, as it were. And so I just finished building a house, and it wasn't my dream. It wasn't something I even wanted in a way. I was very, very much led into doing it. Now I'm happy I have it, but
I would be happy.
I mean, I'm super happy. I look back and I go,
that is so
wow,
beautiful.
That was the work of spirit through me, and yet I don't have any expectation about it. Will it stay in my life? Will I continue to be here? I don't know. It's not like, I mean, it's certainly given me now a bit of a sanctuary and a place out of town, and I'm up in the hills and, on the side of a valley, and it's gorgeous. But I just know because of all the things that I've had in my life that have gone, it's okay. I mean, I'm going to enjoy it while it's here. And, but most people think, oh, you built your dream house. You did this, you did that. And and so it's funny because that's not how I feel about it. It wasn't a dream house. Anyways. Yeah, so let's get out maybe a little off the personal for a few minutes, and I don't think we want to make this that long. Something else that Claudia and I have covered many, many subjects together. We've shared a lot, and so perhaps over the next course of the next month or two, I'd like to do a few videos. I mean, some of the things that we've made done research on. I think one of the biggest ones is we've really gone into the lost, stolen history. Some people also call it revisionist history. We've looked deeply into World War I and World War II. And that to me, to this day, that misrepresentation, the co-opting of that narrative, the co-opting of what happened still remains in most of humans clouded. And so it's like almost to me, it's like a psychic implant. It was so embedded in the human psyche of what happened in Germany, World War I, World War II, and who Adolf Hitler was. And I'm not going to say that we know, but I do know that the truth is not out there, not in very many places.
I mean, if you ask anyone, they will tell you there have been 2 world wars.
Yeah.
And they both finished long ago.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lie.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, we called it, or you called it very well before. It was the war that never ended.
Yeah.
And so we might address that topic again. We both, in our perception, we were very called to look at inner earth. Some people call them Shambhala, Agartha, whatever, and that all ties in with so much coming out about flat earth right now. I think we have something to add to it from a different perspective. So I would like to touch on that. And the mystery of Antarctica, which is huge. Look at her smile.
More unknown, I think, than anything else.
Right. And we had a series going called Forbidden Subjects. And so I think certainly from my perspective, because it's changed over time. And matter of fact, that was something that was very clear to me this morning was when you can hold long enough a fluid state of consciousness, right? It's a different way because things are always moving. We're in, call it the great ether. Things are revealing, things are being hidden, things are coming into. So I think that, in very real nature of this reality is fluid. Mm-hmm. We've just been put into a prison and it's very static and very stuck. And our dimensional capacities of sight and lucidity have been curtailed to such a great degree that we just don't see out of it. So that's another little piece of it. The other thing is plasma physics that I've been very drawn to look at. I mean, there's so much being revealed right now. Yes. And so I don't know. What about you, Claudia? Is there anything else that comes to your mind?
Yes, in a way, I think it kind of plays a very important part, and a lot of people are not aware of it. It's that whole legal versus lawful, and living in commerce and living outside of commerce. Because as living human beings, we should not accept being thrown into a state of fictional reality, which commerce is.
Yeah.
And pretty much all countries are corporations. And I would urge everyone to research that.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's do something on that.
It's so profoundly important. Whether you are treated as a dead fictional entity or whether you are treated like the sovereign human being that you are.
Mm-hmm. yeah, that's super important. So let's do something on that too. We've already done work on that along that level, but I'm sure our acceptance of our own divinity as sovereign beings, I'm sure it's grown over time, and I think we can readdress it and what it means to each person. And it's hard for people to really grasp the whole thing. But yet we're demanded. This is the demand of these times, that we stop being resources to a predatory, parasitic entity that is taking over the world. Of course, it's being revealed right now. It has to be revealed. We have to be able to see it for what it is. But everybody, you always talked about baby steps, Claudia. So maybe we can do something. How do you start detaching yourself from the fictional and reclaiming your sovereignty? The other subject that we did a lot of work on, and it's also part of this whole thing, is because we're now in a technological age. This is the fourth technological revolution. So why are we going through this right now? It's because now they have the technology to entrap, ensnare, and pull what they're trying to do, every living soul up into the mainframe. And so I would like to address that again too. What is artificial intelligence? What is this entity and its minions that have been doing this? How have they done it? The historical record of the existence of this is huge. This is not something new. It's just that they have the technology right now. And so how do we detach ourselves, or how do we change that? We talked a lot about, Claudia, you and I, about being consciousness. Everything is conscious. And so even artificial intelligence has a consciousness. How do you influence it? How do you affect it?
Yeah. I think first of all, you have to become aware of the fact that it does exist, and that it does, or that it is currently designed to affect you in such a way that you will lose control over your own life, and something else will take over that control. But you have to become aware of it in order to do something about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it has a lot to do with consent, because if you're not aware of it, you can't say, stop it, I did not consent to that. So you have to be aware first of all, and then you can go and hang on, I didn't sign that contract. Mm-hmm. I did not consent to it, so kindly fuck off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and that is, for those of us that are aware. It's one of the things I talk to people, and I said to myself, when I started to differentiate between an inner being, which is an inner, very silent place. Really, it's a quiet place within that can direct, the flow of my life, with the outer influences, right? And that's people and things and obligations and all that. But there is also an element to it of a mind control. It's a mind parasite. It's at its level, and it's invaded the human species. And so to be able to look at your thoughts and be able to recognize, and for me, it's like you say, I didn't contract to that. I didn't consent to it. And I just go, you're not my thought. I would recognize you're not my thought, and yet most people, I would say, are so accustomed to their indoctrination and their state of their beliefs or whatever identification, that they don't understand that these are mind parasites.
Most people think, that's science fiction. It has nothing to do with reality. Hello, wake up.
So, yeah, Claudia, I don't know if we really want to make this much longer today. I just wanted to get us back out there, let's say, and then let's plan some other some other talks, and maybe we'll put together, like we were doing before, some graphics and some, PowerPoints or whatever we were doing to, I find visuals are very impactful for people because it does get past certain things that they don't. It's like planting seeds, you know. And that's all we really can do. I mean, we can only plant seeds of truth, seeds of honor, right? And it's the current situation is being talked about so incessantly. I'd like to just go a little beneath the surface when we're speaking.
Yeah, good idea.
Mm-hmm. And then we might take a dragon flight and look at it from above.
Yeah.
Oh, huh? Yeah. So it's always a pleasure. It feels good to be talking again.
It does.
It really does. And, if anybody, we'll just see how it goes. Anyways, so just a little bit. We do have we have a website. It's a blog with videos and stuff, and it's not operative right now. I mean, I haven't put anything up for a long time, but I sense that's changing. It's called earthempaths.net. We have 2 YouTube channels and we have a Bitchute channel. And so this will go out there. And, between our work schedules and the other things that we have to keep doing, I think you'll be hearing from us again.
I think so too.
I love you, Claudia.
I love you too.
I mean, oh man, have we traversed some land? Yeah, it's an enduring friendship. So I'm really grateful for you. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I feel that way too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm ready to get through this knothole that we're in right now so we can see each other again.
Absolutely. Let's abolish this pandemic.
So it be. Love you. Talk soon.
Talk soon.
Bye-bye.
My feeling, Charlie, is that it's not that pseudoscience and superstition and New Age so-called beliefs and fundamentalist zealotry are something new. They've been with us for as long as we've been human. But we live in an age based on science and technology with formidable technological powers.
Science and technology are propelling us forward at accelerating rates.
That's right. And if we don't understand it, by we I mean the general public, if it's something that, oh, I'm not good at that, I don't know anything about it, then who is making all the decisions about science and technology that are going to determine what kind of future our children live in? Just some members of Congress? But there's no more than a handful of members of Congress with any background in science at all. And the Republican Congress has just abolished its own Office of Technology Assessment, the organization that gave them bipartisan, competent advice on science and technology. They say, we don't want to know. Don't tell us about science and technology.
Surprising, the danger of all this. I mean, this is not the thing that...
There's 2 kinds of dangers. One is what I just talked about, that we've arranged a society based on science and technology, in which nobody understands anything about science and technology. And this combustible mixture of ignorance and power, sooner or later, is going to blow up in our faces. I mean, who is running the science and technology in a democracy if the people don't know anything about it? And the second reason that I'm worried about this is that science is more than a body of knowledge. It's a way of thinking, a way of skeptically interrogating the universe with a fine understanding of human fallibility. If we are not able to ask skeptical questions, to interrogate those who tell us that something is true, to be skeptical of those in authority, then we're up for grabs for the next charlatan, political or religious, who comes ambling along. It's a thing that Jefferson laid great stress on. It wasn't enough, he said, to enshrine some rights in a constitution or a Bill of Rights. The people had to be educated, and they had to practice their skepticism and their education. Otherwise, we don't run the government. The government runs us.